Hi, I'm back again. Maybe a week after. A little bit. Uh, yes, words. I'm just gonna roll with this. I'm not even gonna edit these. At this point, I don't think. Welcome back. I am a week late because life again. This entire week has been pain. Oh my gosh. Same with next week. That's gonna be so much fun. Yay. Um, Before we get into the entire Shanghai weekend, of course, I should say this entire weekend is going to be the Shanghai weekend of F1 and F1 Academy. So I am very much looking forward to all of that. But before I get into that, quick two updates. One, I'm finally uploading gaming videos again soon, TM, maybe sometime. I would say this upcoming weekend because the day I upload this, it would be March 30th. So probably by this weekend, it's going to be some F1 Manager, all the videos that I say all the videos, uh, three races that I streamed on Twitch back in November and then haven't picked up since because, again, life. But those will be uploaded Fridays. So April 4th is race 1, April 11th is race 2, April 18th is race 3. So it should maybe hopefully continue at that rough upload schedule until I either get a championship or get fired from the team or whatever. If I just get tired of F1 Manager, I don't know. They unlocked all the modding tools since I played it in November. I say modding tools; it's the customization tools. So I'm excited about that. So I get to change everything around for 2025 in game. And then the second thing is I want to have this a little bit more interactive. One of those two words, you pick. It's almost midnight here, and my brain is fried after today, so bear with me. But if you have any questions that you want to ask, or just like topics you want to bring up for the next podcast episode, which will be what's the next F1 race again? I actually forgot. Is it the first? It is the first weekend of April. Got it. Okay. So potentially by April 7th, question mark. Then I'll have a response to everything then, in case anybody is interested. So all the stuff from the comments of this video, I'll put in slash give my thoughts on or whatever in the next episode. I might do a community post too, just so it's easier. So, because I forget those exist and nobody uses them anyway. So might as well use them for something, right? Maybe. Otherwise, I believe that's it. I think that's all the things that I can technically talk about. I will say, F125 has been announced. Don't know if I'm buying it. Genuinely have no idea yet. I'm leaning towards buying it for reasons that I don't know if I can say. I wonder if I can mention them on the playtesting part. I think that's all I can say. I think that's all I can say. So I'm part of the playtesting portion of F125. Because I did that for the past 2 years for 23 and 24, and that was a lot of fun. Doing place testing in general, so I don't know if I can mention that. So if you just randomly had a thing cut to me saying if I don't know if I can mention it, I probably couldn't. I should probably look in the rules again just in case, because I don't know if I would be allowed to mention that. So let's find out the fun way. Okay, I'm back after a quick pause in recording. It seems like I should be able to just say I'm part of the playtest, and that is literally all I can say. So, moving on. Before I get myself in trouble unintentionally. Oh boy, I hope that's fine to say. Anyway, we move on to the Shanghai weekend of things and stuff, I guess. Except I would if I actually had prepared my text stuff to change. That would be good. There we go. So we start off with the fun thing of qualifying for both series, starting off with the F1 Academy qualifying. So all these are in order of when the events happen during the weekend. So it's F1 Academy qualifying, then Formula One sprint qualifying. I just realized I put F1 qualifying type. It'll be fine. I'll name it differently in the chapters. It's fine. But the qualifying order for the Formula One Academy is Maivug Dorian Pan. I can never pronounce her last name. It is spelled Pin, but it's pronounced. I don't even know how. I don't think I can pronounce it. I can hear it in my head. I know how it's pronounced. I don't think I can pronounce it myself. It's like it's Dorian Pa, kind of. I think maybe could be wrong with that. And then there is, oh gosh, I forgot her first name, but it is Lawson who qualified P3, then Chloe Chambers in P4, Palmosky qualified P5. I think it's Shikanti qualified P6, Felbermeyer qualified P7, Hademan qualified P8, P9 is Tina Hausman, Chloe Chong P10, I think it's Chloe Chong, Ella Lloyd P11, I think it's Havda qualified P12. I should have put a pronunciation for her name. Oops. Ferrara qualified P13, but got a 3-place grid penalty, so it actually started technically P16. So actually starting P13 is Nobels, and that's Crone. And then it's, I knew I should have put a pronunciation for this. I'm just gonna call her Anna throughout the rest of this because oh my gosh. But Aganastiadis. I think that's it. Okay. And then P13 or P16 actually is Ferreira, and then it's Shiwei qualified P7. Then Leah Block had a chassis rebuild, apparently qualified P18. So at least half the Formula One Academy grid. I think it's half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yup. More than half of the F1 Academy grid are new drivers. I remember they pointed out during one of the races that Felbermeyer has actually never gone single-seater racing before. So that is very fascinating. Keep up those stats. I like that. Formula One sprint qualifying, emphasis on sprint qualifying, is P1 through P20. We have Hamilton, Verstappen, where have I seen this one before? Piastri P3. P4 is Charles Leclerc. P4, nope, I already said P4. P5 is George Russell. P6, Lando Norris. P7, Kimi Antonelli. P8, Yuki Tsunoda. P9, Alex Albon. And P10, somehow, Lance Stroll, who snuck his way into Q3, I guess. Very suspicious, if you ask me. Alonso, Behrman, Sainz, Bortoleto, and Hadjar were P11 through P15. And those who didn't make it out of Q1, you may have noticed by now, but I'll point this out, is Doohan, Gasly, Ocon, Hulkenberg, and for the second qualifying session in a row, Lawson does not make it out of Q3. Technically out of the first sprint qualifying session, but it's still a qualifying session. Not a good look for Liam Lawson going into the sprint. And don't worry, we'll continue getting to that. We'll get to that, don't worry. Because especially with all the recent news, I'm so glad I actually stalled, quote unquote, on not doing stuff. So, not recording. So, yeah, moving on. It's the Formula One sprint race. Yay! When it comes to these things, I don't do literally every single lap. I just do specific laps where I think some stuff would be kind of important in some way, shape, or form. And I have a few laps at least. We have lap 1. Of course, Hamilton somehow retained the lead going into the opening corners, and Norris actually gone a bit wide into turn 6. Literally nothing else happened on the main starts. The usual, everyone's trying to sort themselves out. I can't really give a verbal play-by-play on, who was where and doing what, because it is chaos, basically. But the key point here, that's the thing I should have said, is that key points for certain stuff, laps. But the key point here is that Norris had gone wide into turn number 6. Somehow he actually ended up with his left side tires, on the grass a little bit, and I believe, if I remember correctly, I should have noted this as well. He does lose, of course, a few positions. I thought he was trying to avoid Russell during braking, but who really knows? In the meantime, we skip ahead all the way to lap 5, where there's actually a replay, apparently. Cool. Lawson had made a clean first half pass into the hairpin and then tracks out wide, literally into Doohan in a battle for P18. He deserves a penalty for that, in my opinion. Don't worry, we'll get to that. That was the note that I wrote at the time. Starting to think I should do a live reaction to these at some point, or just record my reaction. But we'll see how that goes. I really should start doing that, actually. Anyway, lap 6 is Stroll's DRS issues. Yeah, it sounds about right for an Aston Martin. And also Alonso having some sort of undiagnosed issue thanks to commentary. Seem to have been fine throughout the race, I think. It seems they've been... that Aston Martin were able to quietly sort it out. The Lawson-Doohan contact at this point is officially under investigation on lap number 6. Lap 7, I put Bortoleto staying ahead of Hadjar in the battle from turn 6 through to turn 8. I should have put the positions, but I think my brain was like, well, if it's not for the points, I'm not specifying it. I probably should have. Oops. In the meantime, lap number 8, the next lap, we have Norris's radio. There we go. Quote, how is everyone else's front? Mine is redacted already. I know what he said. He probably said fucked or shit. I don't know. I didn't go looking at the actual radio, but that was my first assumption. He gets the radio continues on. Visually, yours do look slightly worse than people. But then I need some help, don't I? Because I'm driving so slow and killing the tire. End radio communications. So at this point, yeah, the graining TM is starting to occur, and it's not going well. On the same lap, we have Hamilton, who says in text form that he's got left front graining, and he has a 7/10 of a second gap. There we go, to Verstappen, and Verstappen has another 1.2 seconds to Piastri. And I put this personal note, I think, maybe, I heard someone's tires squealing a little bit into the hairpin. I thought it was Verstappen. I genuinely don't know, but it wasn't a spin, it wasn't a lockup of any sort. So there was no replay confirming or denying that. That was just my personal thought. Just like, I wonder if that was Verstappen. But it might have been, considering the gap, it could have been Piastri, but I think it was Verstappen, depending on the camera at the time. Lap number 9 comes through where Verstappen had closed the average gap in terms of the gap throughout the lap, is what I like to call it. He closes the gap slightly a little bit to Hamilton. Oh, I should phrase that differently for Hamilton's gap to Verstappen. Yeah, Hamilton has a 7/10 of a second gap ahead of Verstappen, who then has a further, where Verstappen has 1.2 to Piastri. Wait a minute, I think it was interval at the time because it's lap 8. I really should put my notes better. Gosh, second time in a row. I really should actually write my notes clearer. That's why I should just do live reactions. I'll probably do that, live, quote unquote. But I do like doing the post-race stuff. I like just collectively being like, okay, here's my thoughts. Anyway, yeah, Verstappen closes the gap to Hamilton a little bit. Verstappen does have a moment on the turn 10 exit and drops 2 to 3/10. I think, hilariously, at the same time, the broadcast plays radio telling Verstappen to play around with different lines. Just like, hey, playing around with different lines. Okay, goes off the track, bobbles the car. Oops. I did say play with different lines, to be fair, so it wasn't incorrect. Lap number 10, commentary quote, Norris is dropping away from Lance Stroll, end quote, is a sentence you never want to hear. God, I wrote that actually. But it is true, and I stand by with what I said. The P14 battle has Gasly, Hadjar, Bortoleto, and Lawson all going through the first corners, all on top of each other, trying to scatter around for positions and whatnot, you know, as you do in a race. I don't know where I'm going with that comment. There was replay of Lawson making more contact with Bortoleto into the hairpin, where, I think it was Lawson who potentially broke his front wing there. I'll have to look at my notes throughout all of this, but I'm pretty sure it was Lawson who may have broken his front wing a little bit. Either that or was side pod damage to Bortoleto, just a little bit. I know there was contact with the side pod. Lap 11, Piastri has closed the gap to Verstappen, and Verstappen immediately goes wide in turn 6. Not off track wide, but definitely not on the apex of the corner, that's for sure. There's a kind of a hairpin corner in turn 6 to the right side, and Verstappen was quite a few, maybe like 4-car widths across, away from the preferred line, maybe. The gap at this point is 1.5 from Hamilton, who's still P1, to Verstappen P2. Lap 12, Sainz, and Williams, by the way, is told to box, and does so. The in-pit graphic returns. Yay, they finally have times on the lower right-hand side. Don't know why they didn't do that last time for Australia, but I guess they're adding stuff at the last second. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't available or something. Anyway, Norris's radio, quote, "How can we help? Do you have any pace?" "No, I'm flat out, man." End quote. Very unfortunate. Lap 13, Hamilton has Verstappen 1.9 back, and then Piastri is 0.8 of a second back from Verstappen in DRS range. See, I specify it here, but I didn't specify it earlier. Why do I write my notes like this? So I need to do verbal notes at this point. Gosh. Lap 14, Piastri tries for a move into turn 1 on Verstappen, but he was not able to. Verstappen comes across the radio at some point before this, obviously, saying, "Both of my front tires are dead." Yeah, it sounds about right. Lap 15, Piastri not really able to make a move again. My thought process is maybe troubles with the dirty air, which, yeah, that would make sense. We're never going to get away from that, I don't think. Well, maybe 2026. We'll see. Anyway, Hadjar's battling with Gasly for P13. At least he's battling for a position. Hulkenberg does pass Doohan for P18. Very unfortunate. By the end of the lap, Piastri does go for a move on Verstappen into the hairpin, drives wheel to wheel for a little bit on corner exit. I believe just before the final corner is able to make a pass for P2 at the time. And by this point in lap 16, Hamilton has built a 3.3 second gap. How? I don't know how, honestly, but how? Jeez. P17, lap 17, sorry. A looming battle that I have noted between Tsunoda, who was P6 at the time, and Antonelli, who was P7. Antonelli catching up, obviously, to Tsunoda. And then there's a Gasly replay where he passed around the outside of Behrman into turn 1. Considering a few drivers had troubles a little bit with a outer line into turn 1, I'm very surprised that Gasly was actually able to make that pass. But to be fair, track is kind of rubbered in at that point. However, marbles. Yay. Lap 18, we have Hamilton, who is 4.9 seconds to Piastri. So he's definitely not losing at this point. Leclerc has closed into Russell for P4. And then we have Hadjar battling with Behrman for P13. A replay of Norris. He was finally able to pass Stroll at the hairpin on lap 18 of 19 in a McLaren. Norris, in a McLaren, was not able to pass Lance Stroll in an Aston Martin until lap 18 of 19 of the sprint race. Anyway, the gap somehow is 6 seconds for the lead between Hamilton and Piastri. I don't even know what happened with that pace there. Sheesh. But then we have lap 19, where Leclerc is right on the gearbox of Russell, both of them closing to Verstappen. Car, quote-unquote, undrivable in only turn 13 from his radio. I think his being Verstappen. I should really specify that in the future. Yeah, Hamilton does come across the line very eventfully / uneventfully. He wins his first sprint with Ferrari. Leclerc, sadly, not able to pass Russell. But Doohan does make a dive on and tries to pass Bortoleto, but instead makes contact into the hairpin for what was effectively P16 at the time. Doohan tries to make a dive on Bortoleto into the hairpin for P16. There's no points on the line for P16. Did anyone tell him that? I'm not sure if he got a penalty for that or not, actually. But the sprint race results, I'm not even going to read the ones that I wrote down because that's based on the timing tower. That's championship points. Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait. Are those? Oh, because it was. Oh, okay. So that doesn't mean it's okay. I'm looking on the document page and I saw like the original document 82, 83 were recalled. Instead were changed to document 87, 88. So I guess there's a typo there or something. Anyway, back to the sprint results. If I can find the official sprint results, that would be great. Is it provisional race classification? No, it should be way earlier than that. There it is. Found it. So the official classification is Lewis Hamilton in first, second Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen third, fourth George Russell, fifth Charles Leclerc, sixth Yuki Tsunoda, seventh Antonelli, eighth Lando Norris, ninth Lance Stroll, and 10th Fernando Alonso. Wait, he got 10th? He really snuck up there then, didn't he? Albon finished in 11th, 12th was Pierre Gasly, 13th Isaac Hadjar, 14th Liam Lawson, 15th is Oliver Behrman, 16th Esteban Ocon, 17th, I'm jumping ahead, 17th Carlos Sainz, 18th is Gabriel Bortoleto, 19th is Nico Hulkenberg, and 20th is Jack Doohan with a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision based on Steward's document number 49, which is the thing that we just talked about, where Jack Doohan, they actually changed the way they worded these a little bit too. Now it's like car 7, parentheses, Jack Doohan, and car 5, parentheses, Gabriel Bortoleto. I think they, maybe that's just the established ones that they changed. But anyway, reason. Doohan attempted to overtake Bortoleto on the inside of turn 14, but locked up at the apex of the corner and collided with Bortoleto. Doohan suggested that he was in control of the overtake, but the presence of the two Haas cars and the line they took compromised his overtake attempt. First, as the car attempting to overtake, the responsibility was on Doohan, and this is the first time I'm genuinely reading this, the responsibility was on Doohan to ensure that it was done in a safe manner and in line with regulations and guidelines. Secondly, applying the driving standards guidelines, Doohan did not have the right to the corner at the apex and should have backed off. Here, because of the speed at which he approached the corner for the overtake and the resulting lockup and understeer, a collision was caused, for which Doohan was predominantly to blame. We therefore impose the standard 10-second penalty with 2 penalty points. That is the most professional, no, you're bad, sit down, that I've ever heard. Jeez. Now, there's the other thing as well, where it was at car 30, it should maybe come up here, question mark? I don't know if it was actually marked as under investigation. It should have been. I'm pretty sure it was, between Lawson's contact with, alleged incident with car 7. Oh, wow, sorry. Decision is no further action. The stewards review the position marshalling data, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Lawson overtook Doohan at turn 14. There's a minor collision at the exit. We apply the driving standards guidelines as a guide to determine who had the right to the corner. Applying these guidelines, it is clear that Lawson was well ahead of Doohan at the apex of the corner. It was entitled to use the full track at the exit. Are you serious? Doohan should therefore have given Lawson sufficient room to overtake, and his failure to do so resulted in a minor collision. As a resulting collision... Doohan should therefore have given Lawson sufficient room to overtake, and Doohan's failure to do so resulted in a minor collision. As the resulting collision was minor, we took no further action. So it's that ruling from last season where it was the whole if you have the right to the apex of the corner, you can just shove somebody off the track and no one would care. They made contact, though. You can't ignore the car at the exit. That is a whole issue with the FIA in its own right, with said driving standards guidelines, because that is very dumb. And now I see why people were mad. I can see why people were kind of freaking out about the whole thing of the rules should be better. Yeah, I can understand why now. That is very interesting. But don't worry, we'll get onto more penalty things later. Moving on. We now go to the F1 Academy Race 1. 13 laps, and it's a reverse top 8. Oh boy, this was the interesting start to the first race of the F1 Academy season. Um, I don't even know where to start, actually. I'll start with my notes. The pre-race notes, I put two pre-race notes where one didn't even start the race and already a starting procedure infringement for Chicante. Chicante? Wait, hold on. Is it Chicante? Hold on, I have to scroll up and find it. Chicante. Chicante, not Chicante. Chicanti, sorry. And then Ella Lloyd had to start from pit lane with low PSI. We'll get on to the Chicanti thing in a little bit. Lap number one off the start. Shiwei. Oh my goodness. Shiwei. I'll get these names one day. Had stalled not only off the start, but also on the formation lap. Genuinely unfortunate. Palmowski, Felbenmeyer, and Chambers were all battling in the opening corners for P2 through P4. Basically, all three of them were P2, P3, and P4. Wei spins and has ended up beached on the curb and made it only question mark 6 corners. Safety car deployed. I didn't know how many corners she actually made because I couldn't necessarily tell from the angle, and also my brain was kind of fried. I think it might have been turn 7 realistically, because turn 6 is the it might have been about turn 7, turn 8 kind of, because it was a bit of a S section. Lap number 3, of course, nothing happened on lap 2. It's a safety car. So lap 3, I noted car just now being shown that it's being towed off. Wonder what the entry point is for the tractor. Should be green by next lap, I think. Pamoski's radio, quote, just consistently got really loud beeps in my ear. Not sure if there's anything we can do to stop that. If not, no worries. So, another fun thing about the technology behind these is it's not going to be DRS because DRS in the F1 Academy cars does not exist. Actually, let me stop myself before I start again. So the drivers that are new, because I only said how many drivers were new in Formula One Academy, but I didn't say which ones specifically. That was on me. The drivers that are new are Larson, Palmboski, Shikanti, Felbemeyer, Heidemann, Chong, Chloe Chong, Havda. I think the R is silent, so I'm just gonna pronounce it Havda. Havda, uh, Ferreira. It's not Ferreira. Hold on. It might be Ferreira. Yeah, it might be. It might be Ferreira. Crone, Anna slash Anna. Oh man, I pronounced this earlier too. It was a name that I was struggling with earlier, but I'm just gonna call her Anna from now on because that's her driver indication label anyway. And then there's also Chiwei. The drivers that have stayed from last season are Leah Block, Nobles, Ella Lloyd, Tina Houseman, and Chloe Chambers, Dorian Pan, and Maya Vug, which is spelled Weug. So probably mispronounce it as Maya Wug at some point. Not intentional. I'll try to remember to not do that. But what was I making my original point? Oh right, yes, the beeps in the ear for Palmowski's radio. Right. It could be it could be literally anything. My guess is that because it's not DRS, because F1 Academy doesn't have DRS, my guess is that it could be shift beeps. Because those are, I think, actually a thing in real life too, to get it's literally just a real life shift assist, which is very cool. But they didn't specify what it was as far as I know, so who knows. Anyway, lap 5, we're finally green. Yay! Also, my prediction was wrong. Boo. Chambers is right on the gearbox of Maya Vug and, on Felbermeyer. I forgot top 8 for this first, I literally put it in all caps, reverse top 8 for this first race too. Oh my goodness. So the qualifying order that I read out earlier, I should just have on-screen graphics at this point, are reversed. So the top 8 is reversed. So it's Felbenmeyer, who started technically on reverse grid pole. Anyway, I lost where I was. Sends on to Felbenmeyer, into turn 1, and that brings Maya Vug into the fight, as well as Dorian Pan. Pin. It's spelled pin. I don't know how to pronounce it. I might just call her Dorian. I don't know. I might switch. I'm gonna switch names a lot. We'll see. Anyway, it's still wheel to wheel between Penn and Felbermeyer somehow. Nobels is then shown with a broken right rear suspension, and the safety car is deployed again. Turns out, if I remember this corner correctly, it was into turn 6. Leah Block locks up the right front trying to brake and just nails the right rear wheel of Nobles. Big sad. Lap number 6, safety crew is not even at the car yet, despite having the safety car controlling the pace. Yeah, the first time they passed through that incident zone where Nobels has stopped, the tractor wasn't even there, so I wonder if it was just an awkward part for the tractor to be, I guess. Lap number 8, we go green again. Shockingly, more calm into turn 1 this time. It's single file, and 2 cars just drop places on the timing tower. Oh dear. I also would put, I don't think we've gotten 1 lap of green by this point. We have not. We definitely have not. The replay shows that... Oh man, I just literally forgot the indicator. That's embarrassing. Chloe Chong, that's right. I think it's Chloe Chong. The Chloe Chong had just ran right into the gearbox of, I think it was, Havda. I think it's a Havda, because it's it's spelled Havrda. Oh man, I really need to look at the broadcast for pronunciations again. Anyway, yeah, it's just, Havda did get a little bit of a wiggle into turn 1 on entry, and then Chloe Chong was just right behind and not really able to react in time, I guess. But apparently Shikanti at this point is also under investigation for another starting procedure infringement. Yay! I guess, maybe. I don't know if it may have been that by this point it was under investigation and the initial notification was noted. I didn't specify that in my notes whether or not it was under investigation versus noted, but I will say, considering I put under investigation for this one, it was likely noted for before the race. And of course, Havda had a head shake of disappointment when looking at the damage. I don't blame her. Lap number 9, Leah Block with a plus 10-second penalty for causing a collision, and for Shikanti, a plus 10-second stop-and-go penalty for changing tire pressures when not allowed, parentheses, starting procedure infringement. Apparently, I guess she thought she could serve that under safety car because she goes into the pit box and serves it under the safety car. We'll get back to that. Lap 11, we're green, again. Chloe Chong with a plus 10-second penalty for causing a collision, fair enough. And then Shikanti failing to serve time penalty correctly. Guess what? You get another 10-second stop-and-go penalty. Now, I was thinking about this point, man, I hope that doesn't mean it's 20 seconds total, because that would actually suck. Lap 12, wait a minute. Oh, Ferrari gets by Crone into turn 1. I got to get used to these new indicators. Crone gets passed by Lloyd for P10, and then Hademan, which is her indicator is GAD because it's GADEMANN, I think. So let's make of that what you will for languages. Woo. My guess. Oh, actually, no. I think my guess is that it was commentary's call was that it was a mechanical issue when going through turn 6 and turn 7 for Hademan. So she goes from the lead and to not the lead. Felbermeyer defends to the point that Lawson actually ran into the gearbox, and then Dorian Pan manages to shoot through the middle up into P4. Oh, by the way, a plus 10-second stop-and-go penalty for being out of position at the safety car line. And I put on the last lap, guys, yikes. I'll have to look at I can't look at the stewards documents because they don't exist for F1 Academy. You think they would. I had mistakenly failed to note which driver had gotten that 10-second penalty, but I do have said results for penalties. But there's still the rest of lap 13 to get to, which is Vug does not get the best exit out of turn number 10, having to Oh, I mistyped that. I apparently typed having to list a bit to avoid understeering. And I'm reading that. I'm like, having to list? Only boats can list. What am I talking about? And then it's like, oh, I guess I meant to type having to lift a bit to avoid understeering off the track. Oops. Those are 2 keys away, so I don't know how I mistyped that. Between S and F. Anyway, I put Chambers might have a shot into the hairpin here for P3, if I remember off the top of my head. I should have put the position there. She manages to successfully sell the dummy, goes to the right-hand side. Sell the dummy is just a weird way of saying fake out. She goes to the right-hand side, well, camera right-hand side, I think. Tries to switch back, but is unable to pass. She is right onto the gearbox into the last corner, where Palmowski gets the win, which is a great defense, by the way. And then we have Houseman and Felbenmeyer dropping back out of the points, and turns out it was a collision into the hairpin. Interestingly, Dorian Penn had locked up on her own into turn 14, so her lockup had nothing to do with it. It's just that Houseman just missed her breaking point. I think maybe locked up. I would have put that if she did. But basically just nails the gearbox of Felbenmeyer, and not too bad, just enough to kind of lose positions, obviously. So the final results for race 1 after penalties. I can just read full report. That's just an article. That doesn't count. No, I just want the results. No, I want the results. See all the results. There we go. So we have Palmowski, Chambers, and Vug, your top 3. Penn and Ferreira, P4, P5. Lloyd, P6. Lawson, P7. P8 is Anna, whose last name I can kind of pronounce, but not really. Leah Block, P9. And Chloe Chong, P10. Felbenmeyer finishes 11th. 12th is Chrome. Houseman, P13. Shikanti, 14th. And 15th is Haydeman. And that's it. Technically, everyone else is... there are 3 more cars that were retired that we mentioned earlier. I say we, it's just me. That I mentioned earlier that were out. So technically, they did not finish the race. And if they didn't finish, then, oh well, you're not on the results page. Sucks to be you. So then we move on very briefly to Formula One qualifying, where I'm going to have to change this. There we go. So we very briefly move on to Formula One qualifying, where the results for qualifying is Piastri, Russell, Norris, Verstappen, Hamilton, P1 through P5, Leclerc, Hadjar, Antonelli, Tsunoda, and Albon, P6 to P10. Very fun, if you ask me. I am very intrigued about how the rest of the season will go, just in general, in terms of qualifying, especially. Ocon qualified 11th, Hulkenberg qualified 12th, 13th is Alonso, 14th is Stroll, 15th Sainz, 16th Gasly, 17th Behrman, 18th Doohan, 19th Bortoleto, and 20th is Liam Lawson. I'm going to, before I say anything, I know for sure that if I can get the website, can I, oh my goodness. Can I get Formula One, please? There we go. So if I go to results real quick, I know it's for sure the 3rd time in the span of 2 weeks that Liam Lawson has not left so much as Q1. He did not make it even into Q2. Let me go to qualifying real quick. Australia, he qualified in P18. Well, that doesn't make it much better. He was 5/10 off of a Sauber. Oof. That is, even Bortoleto, who ended up qualifying slower in Q2 in Australia, still made it to Q2. Yikes. But we'll get to that in a bit. Anyway, back to F1 Academy. It's race 2. Yay! Turns out it's a rolling start due to dust, quote unquote dust, on the right hand side of the grid. Chambers had said over the radio that a second formation lap was the best choice due to the lack of grip, so instead of 13 laps, it is instead 11 laps. And I'm going to show everything was fine before, and the F1 Academy races are on YouTube. So hypothetically, I should be able to show these without issue because it's a screenshot. But once again, I will showcase image. Yay! The one time we get to use images. Yeah, there was some sort of issue. I think it was with the Porsche Carrera Cup series or something. I don't know what happened, but there was like some sort of engine blowout, I guess, and there was just oil everywhere, and that happened to directly be in the line of all of the cars on the right-hand side of the grid, right through the grid boxes. I wish I saved that screenshot, but I saw a screenshot. I saw the image on the broadcast where I was like, "Yeah, that just goes right through all of the grid boxes," which is very unfortunate. So they had to deal with that apparently, which is genuinely unfortunate. So it's 11 laps here for F1 Academy, where all drivers are running quite literally in the dust. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure this will not have any adverse effects whatsoever. Dorian Pan around the outside of my Vug into turn 1, just barely squeezed the nose of Vug, and contact was made with the right rear wheel of Pan to the front wing of Vug, but very lucky enough to not have a puncture. We didn't see that live on the broadcast at the time, but they did show a replay, and ooh man, that was a pass. In the meantime, Houseman tries to defend from Shikanti into turn 6, and then outbreaks herself. Houseman outbreaks herself, I think. Man, I'm actually disappointed in my notes. I really need to specify my notes for here. Judging by basic English and reading comprehension, herself, in this case, is Houseman. I'm going to roll with that, and I'll correct myself if my notes are wrong. So, nope, that's right. I see a line. We're good. But yeah, Houseman tries to defend from Shikanti into turn 6, outbreaks herself and makes contact with Hademan, and in part turns out that also takes out her teammate. She was told, I think Hademan was told, that your teammate, that Hademan and Houseman were going to work together. They don't have the same livery or team or sponsorship, which is what actually shows in F1 Academy, but they are on the same team. I think it's both with MP, but I could be incorrect on that part. But yeah, not the best. Chung ends up making contact with Shikanti, and then also collects snowballs and have to, a little bit later in the lap, safety car deployed. Yay. Lap 4 rolls around, and we have Hademan's radio. Quote, "Can you give me an explanation of why Tina hit me? Did she lock up? Or no current information, we'll review after the race." Okay, just to give you some info on that, she was pretty far behind me, so it's pretty hard to hit me. Copy. It was driver to engineer conversation. The engineer did not want to say anything. I would have just been honest. She already knew. I get it. It's like, yeah, you should probably just you should just be honest at that point. Everyone could kind of tell. It's like, yeah, just say like, yeah, she locked up, she outbraked herself, it happens, just something. It's like, yeah, we don't like it either, but head down, we'll talk about it after or something. But I'm not the engineer, so I'm just here on the internet. That's kind of it. Anyway, lap 5, green. Yay! Shockingly, it's actually calm. Everyone's single file throughout the opening portion of this restart. And then Houseman gets a plus 10-second penalty for causing a collision. Yay! Crone, is it Crone? I'm going to have to look back at my notes again. It is Crone. Okay, so it was right. I didn't think that was right, but it is correct. Crone and... That's supposed to be Felbermeyer. No, that's Ferrari. Crone and Ferrari are swapping spots for P9, P10, but the broadcast didn't show it live, but it did show a replay. Meanwhile, Chong with a plus 10-second penalty for causing a collision. Cool. Chambers tries for a late pass to Lawson into the hairpin, but instead loses a bit of time, but gets lucky, technically cuts the track. Oh, yeah. So what happened there is that Chambers tries for a late pass to Lawson into the hairpin. Chambers realizes and moves a little bit towards the right, slows up, moves a little bit towards the right even more, turns harder to the right, and technically cuts the track, at least over the curb. Her left side tires were, I want to say maybe about like half a foot from actually like being fully onto the track. Like the left side tires of the car were inside the hairpin corner of turn 14 by maybe like half a foot. So there was that. I put technically cuts the track as a joke because it's like technically she kind of did cut the track, but no penalty for that in particular. Lap 7, Leah Block is trying to get by Krone around the outside of turn 1, but sadly is unable to do so. Oh gosh, yawning, pain. Sleepiness is starting to catch up. Oh dear. Oh man, that's not good. Okay, anyway, Heidemann at that point joins the battle, so it's P10, P11, P12 for Krone, Block, and Heidemann. Lap 8, Leah Block tries again and was able to make the pass very easily this time, and was able to clear faster on the outside of turn 1 than Dorian Pan's move on Maya Vug. My thought is that Krone maybe lost a little bit of grip because Heidemann also makes the pass into turn 6. So now it's Leah Block P10, Heidemann P11, and Krone P12. I'd predicted Chambers surely making a move on Lawson into the hairpin. Lawson jinks to defend to the right-hand side, driver's right-hand side, but still leaves space. But end up getting lucky because Chambers does lock up the right front slightly, and it goes back to a 4/10 of a second gap, so not too much time lost for Chambers. A replay had actually showed that the onboard is that Chambers actually nearly made contact with the wheels of Lawson, but still about 1 foot of space between. That's when they were both moving back to the racing line, I believe. So it was the defensive move and then moving back to the left-hand side to set up for the corner. So just enough time, especially in the braking. Dorian Pan pulls a 1.6 gap lead by this point. Closest battle is P3. Chambers decides to not make the pass for P3, but Feldmeyer tries to pass Palmowski for P5 into the hairpin and ends up having the preferred line for the final corner, which works really well. That's turn 15. Not a sweeping left-hander, you kind of have to slow down a little bit, but it's an interesting corner, that is for sure. Lap 10, Chambers makes a surprise pass into turn 1 on the inside of Lawson, who just apparently left the gap open there. And Feldmeyer gets by Palmowski for P5, also into turn 1. And actually a bit of contact between Palmowski and Feldmeyer, directly on the front nose, braking for turn 2. Oh, this one. Interesting. Yeah, so it was Palmowski that ran into the back of Feldmeyer on the braking for turn 2. The front nose cone does hit the right rear of Feldmeyer, but no lasting damage, luckily, no punctures or anything. By this point, Ferrari and Chong, now let's just set the driver indicator of Cho, which would not have worked, but also kind of. They're battling for P8 into the hairpin, and Ella Lloyd may have locked up into corner entry, by the way. That just happens. Chloe Chong gets ahead for P8. And on the final lap, the Feldmeyer-Palmowski incident is noted. Likely a penalty to Palmowski is my guess. And then just the worst TV direction by sticking with the Chloe Chong, Feldmeyer, and Block battle by this point, only to cut away before the hairpin to the leader to see the leader cross the line, and then come back to that battle after the hairpin. Great job, guys. Fantastic job. Great camera work. Could have been quite literally so much better. So the final results for race 2 is Dorian Pan P1, P2, Maya Vug P3, Chloe Chambers P4, I think it's Anna Larson. P5 is Felbemeyer, P6 Palmosky, P7 is Ella Lloyd, P8 is Ferreira, P9 Leah Block, P10 is Heidemann, 11 is Chong, 12th is Crone, 13th is Anna. I think it's Agnostatus. Anagnostatus. Status, not tis. Status. And then it's Shai Wei, who is P14, and P15 is Tina Hausman. So, after a very interesting first couple races for F1 Academy, that does it for, interestingly, F1 Academy. Wow. And now we move on to the second race of the season, an actual race of the season, in the form of Formula One. No, I didn't change the title. Oops, that might be important. I should probably change the thing. There we go. Now it's the Shanghai race. Oops. I don't know. At the end of the day, there really wasn't too much, but there kind of was. Sort of. I don't know. I don't want this to be insanely short, but A, it's almost 1 a.m. and I am actively starting to fall asleep. And 2, a lot of the notes I have are just like kind of standard race stuff, so like radio strategy and everything. Like who's pit when and where, so I'll skim through all of my notes just to double check. Obviously, we're going to start off with Leclerc self-inflicting left wing end plate damage, and the... Oh no, did I put RB as an RB or RB as in Red Bull? Oh no, I forgot. I think it's RB as an RB. They had nearly collided on turn 9 exit. This is all lap 1, by the way. And Bortoleto drops back 10 seconds by the end of the lap. Sauber Payne as per usual by lap 3. They are P19, P20. Gasly had reported that the brakes were on fire for Alonso. And then lap 4 rolls around where Alonso slows down. Behrman locks up into turn 4. And then Alonso comes across the radio saying, I cannot brake, no brakes, no brakes. He is very lucky that he was not able to brake after turn 1 or turn 6 because, ooh, man, that would have been bad. So, even before, did I say before turn 1? He's lucky it didn't happen before turn 1 or before turn 14, is what I'm trying to say. Technically turn 6, but mostly turn 14 and turn 1 because, oh man. So lap 6, Alonso finally officially in the garage. Bortoleto's replay shows him losing rear grip and sliding into the gravel, and I'm surprised he drove forward through where he spun off and not get stuck. I think it was the turn 6 gravel too, but I don't actively remember. If I did, I probably would have noted that. Yeah, by lap 7, this is what I was thinking about when I was reading through the sprint. By lap 7, drivers already reporting loss of front grip. Tsunoda's radio communication was as follows. I want to use more front. We don't want to. Well, I want to. Okay, do what you need to do. Great engineer communication there. Just kind of like, well, you gotta be firm, but that didn't happen. By the end of lap 8, or the start of lap 8, Lawson is P17. Cool. Albon on lap 9, shockingly firm / confident on the radio. He sits P11. I think it was just about tire stuff, which everybody was talking about by this point. Even David Coulthard on commentary. It's Coulthard, not the H isn't silent. It's Coulthard, at least. David Coulthard had suggested that Ferrari just not change the front wing And Leclerc had even said, if it stays like this, I want plan A. So he's probably listening to the broadcast. Let's see. Lap 11 through 13, a couple people pit early than the lap. I remember, for some reason, I put this at lap 14 and no other point. Lap 14 was the suggested window for the first stops for Pirelli's, which they were also suggesting that it was going to be a two-stop race where the mediums and the hard tires would basically be about the same lap, which is the same length of lap running, which is genuinely very interesting. I think Pirelli's not schedule, but their predicted pit strategy was like mediums for the first 18 laps, and then for the next 20 laps it's hard tires, and then for the last however many laps it's mediums again, which is, was it hards again? I think it was both, which is certainly a strategy. Lap 14, the suggested window, Russell thinking it's going to be a one-stop. Boo, I say. Boo. Lap 15, Ocon's replay at the hairpin. He got very lucky with passing Antonelli. Oh, I think I remember this. I think this is when Antonelli defended and Ocon went into the literal dirt, the grass at least. So he put his right sides in the dirt. He got very lucky passing Antonelli. Some reason, at least initially, David Coulthard initially or incorrectly called it that Ocon was still on the white line. No, you could tell from the onboard he was not on the white line. He was well over it, but still technically within track limits by 2 tires. Lap 17, because of all the pit stops, Albon just appeared in first place all of a sudden. All right then. Norris gets by Russell going into turn 1 on the undercut on lap 18, and he does get into the collected quote-unquote dust on the right-hand side of the track. And commentary with a valid point asking why Ferrari have not swapped Hamilton and Leclerc around. Right when I typed that, they were told to swap. Hamilton passes Stroll, Leclerc gets held up a bit, but does get by in turn 1. And, of course, Lawson to pit road, but we'll get to the whole Ferrari thing in a bit. I'm going to make a mental note as well. I'm just going to put, and by mental, I'm going to type this out, the whole Ferrari thing. Because there was a topic that came up on the subreddit as well, and I do want to kind of touch on that because it is very interesting. A very good topic to talk about, I guess is the way to phrase that. At first I thought, yeah, okay, I mean, that's kind of inconsequential, but on board, it was lap 19 with Norris. His downshift from 7th to 6th sounded a little bit higher going into turn 11. It was a bit terrifying. He didn't blow up the engine, obviously, but, oof. Doing it to Hulkenberg for P15. Ferrari still talking about swapping. Here we go. Hamilton's radio, engineer, swapping cars in turn 14. Hamilton replies, when we are closer, yeah. There was some sort of radio again, but they did not add subtitles. But there was something about Hamilton mentioning wanting to get by the traffic ahead, I think, before swapping. I am going to get to that in a second as well. And by a second, I mean after I'm done with talking about the race. A lot of this is radio more than like actual on-track shit that I'm starting to realize. Ferrari swapping to turn 1 on lap 21. Hamilton's radio was, quote, I'll tell you when we're going to swap, probably a radio into the hairpin. And by this point, I realized, oh, both Haas cars are in the top 10. Interesting. Lap 22, Lawson not making any inroads. He is still P17. I'm letting that sit there for a second. Lawson, 22 laps in, P17. After starting 20th. By lap 22, he is 17th. He gained 3 spots. We'll get to that. Stroll and Behrman have yet to stop. By this point, I'm thinking 1 stop for real. They are P7 and P8, respectively, on lap 23. Hamilton asked for feedback on lap 24 where he's losing time. Here we go. Okay, so Sainz passes Doohan for P15. I put Doohan's indicator as BOO instead of DOO, so it's just Sainz passes boo for P15. My voice kind of broke there. Why did I decide to record this now? Jeez. It's fine. Anyway, Behrman tries for a brave break into turn 14 on Stroll for P7, and somehow doesn't flat spot the tire, the right front, but oh boy, that was a daring move, that is for sure. Lap 26, Leclerc drops back. Behrman says, come on then, let's take some action. He is then called to box on lap 27. More radio stuff, lap 29. Quote, we like you to use up some of that pace. I don't want to push the dirty air on Norris's radio. And again, lap 29, we've asked for the car ahead to help you is a weird way to phrase teammate. Leclerc has a chaotic turn 14. Even I don't remember what happened. What chaotic turn 14 did Leclerc have? Turn 14? Turn 14. That's the hairpin. I actually don't remember. Lap 29? Man, that says a lot. I don't remember that. Lap 31, Stroll hasn't boxed yet. And Lawson has his ankles broken into turn 14 by Behrman. Lawson goes to pit road. Behrman with a chow. The legendary chow. One of two throughout the race. Lap 32 is Norris's radio saying, go for plan C from his engineer, and Norris replies, can you tell him to speed up? I don't want to use up my tires. Behrman with the exact same pass on Gasly for P15. What exact same pass? I must have missed something. Oh, right, the chow pass, the fake out, basically. Lawson ends up passing Hulkenberg on lap 32 for P17. It's not going well. Don't know whose radio this was. I should have mentioned that. Oops. Lap 35, Norris's radio. They say there's a small risk of rain that lasts 3 laps up to class 1. Man, I wish. Some people pit for lap 36 to 38. Front left concerns on lap 39 for Norris. A couple passes. There we go. Lap 43, Stroll with the last second pass on Sainz into turn 1 for P12. So another pass was doing for P14. Again, like I'm skimming through this. I'm rapid firing through this for a few reasons. One, obviously it wasn't as chaotic as Melbourne, and two, nothing really happened. It was just radio stuff throughout the race, and like standard strategy and passes, and that's about it. So if I'm not sticking on any particular thing, it's because nothing really happened. So I'm unintentionally rapid firing through this because A, I'm tired, and two, nothing happened. Anyway. Oh yeah. Lap 46. Tsunoda's front wing has decided to say, no, I'm not going to work anymore. Turns out, the turbulent air from the Williams ahead of him, which I'm pretty sure was Sainz, into turn 1 just caused like the right front plane of the wing, like the flat portion of the plane where they put the sponsors, that just failed, and it just kind of like imploded in a sense. I mean, it didn't implode into itty bitty pieces. It held up throughout his entire lap going back to pit road, but that's interesting. It's in my almost 5 years, because I started watching in 2020, so that was a weird year to start watching F1. In my entire 5 years-ish of watching F1, I have never seen a front wing fail like that. I wish I could put up a video of it, but probably be sniped from the internet by Formula One management. So, it's on the highlights, probably. Hopefully. Just go check out the highlights. It's probably there. Norris has some brake concerns, but kind of fine. I mean, they talk about that for basically until the end of the race. And that's kind of it, honestly. I mean, by the end of the race, Norris is lifting a couple 100 meters before some braking zones, but like, it's kind of it. Nothing really happened in this race. I wish I had more. More happened in F1 Academy, actually. But the results of Shanghai. I shouldn't be using the ones I typed out. I should be using the official ones for reasons, which we will get to. Final race classification. Actually, you know what? Just for fun. Yeah, just for fun. I'll read the at the time. Oh, wait, no, I did change it. Never mind. I'm actually glad I did that. Okay, cool. Race results officially, including penalties, are Piastri, Norris, Russell, P1, 2, and 3, Verstappen 4th, Ocon 5th, we'll get to that, 6th, Antonelli, 7th, Albon, 8th, Behrman, 9th, Stroll, 10th, Sainz, 11th is Hajar, 12th is Lawson, 13th, Doohan, 14th, Bortoletto, 15th, Hulkenberg, 16th, Tsunoda, 17th, Alonso, and disqualified from the race is Hamilton, Leclerc, and Gasly. Why, you may ask? Well, Hamilton had a plank wear issue where the plank on the bottom of the car. This is the second time I think he's been disqualified for that, which is hilarious for two different teams. That is at two different tracks too. Now that I think about it, that's interesting. I think first time was Circuit of the Americas, I think 2023. But Hamilton's plank, it was I think it was basically an average, quote unquote average, of 8.4 millimeters instead of it was 8.4 millimeters instead of the minimum 9 millimeters that it should have been. So because he was under that, disqualified. Charles Leclerc, his car weight was, I think, 799.5 kilograms. Let me get this to pull up really quickly just to be sure. Not even that. It was just 799 kilograms. The minimum weight is 800 kilograms. So he gets disqualified. For Gasly, also 799 kilograms instead of 800 minimum weight. So minimum weight not met for Leclerc and Gasly. They're also disqualified. That's kind of it. Otherwise, nothing really happened in this race, actually. So we're going to have a lot of these weekends, I feel like. So I get to ramble a bit. Yay! So we move on to the whole Ferrari thing / the radio. Now, more specifically, how it was broadcast. Turns out, I watch through the F1 live feed, so I get Alex Jakes, I think Alex Brundle now, and David Coulthard, and Bernie Collins, etc., etc. Another pundit's name who I'm missing. I forget her name, but she's also really good. Oops. I should know the entire team by name. I know Sam Collins too. Bernie Collins too. I think no relation. Anyway, it's the way how it's broadcast. So on the Sky feed, it was very clearly mentioned by a commentary. I think Martin Brundle. Oops, microphone bump. What the full context of the radio was, and like, oh, surely we're missing like some more context. And like, here's what that context is. On the F1 live feed, no, they just aired it and that was it. So, same with it was bad enough to the point where they made it out to be like the broadcast specifically, as in whoever was choosing to play those radios, so Formula One management in some way, the way they were choosing to air those radios was very intentionally trying to play off the fact that Hamilton was like trying to be argumentative. I know I put a comment here somewhere on the F1 subreddit. Cause somebody, let me go back to my comments here. Not that one, not that one, not that one. I'll just go through my subreddit. Aha, found it. Okay. So Ferrari had called this is via racefans.net. The literal title of the article is F1 responds after Ferrari calls broadcast of Hamilton's radio a, quote, joke, end quote. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I will read the, where? Oh, yeah, okay. Ferrari's team principal, Frederick Vasseur, reportedly described F1's editing of Hamilton's messages as a, quote, joke, end quote. F1 monitors each driver's blah, blah, blah. They monitor all the stuff and whatnot. Vasseur complained, Frederick Vasseur is the Ferrari team principal, in case no one knows. Vasseur complained that the selection of Hamilton's messages gave a misleading impression of his role in the swap of positions between the team's cars on lap 21, of yesterday's race. Hamilton originally suggested the cars swap places during lap 18. He told race engineer Ricardo Adami, quote, "I think I'm going to let Charles go because I'm struggling," end quote. However, this message was not played on the world television feed. The first radio message indicating Ferrari were considering a change of order to appear on the world feed was played on lap 20. This was a clip of a message from lap 19 in which Adami said, "We're swapping cars in turn 14," and Hamilton replied, "When he's closer." Yeah. So F1 spokesperson replied with, "There was absolutely," well, let me try this again. An F1 spokesperson had responded to race fans with, quote, "There was no," I'll try that again, quote, "There was absolutely no intention of presenting a misleading narrative regarding the Ferrari team radio. Due to other situations developing during the race, the message from Lewis was not played, but this was not intentional," end quote. There was nothing happening. Let me go look back at my notes real quick. Lap 18, they say. The only thing that happened is Norris gets by Russell into turn 1. They initially got into the right side of the track a little bit, but that was like kind of it. Commentary at the valid point asking why Ferrari haven't swapped Hamilton and Leclerc around. Right when I typed that, they're told to swap. Hamilton passes Stroll. Leclerc gets held up a bit, but gets by, I think, Stroll in turn 1. So there's literally nothing happening during lap 18 at that time. Lap 19, they were on an onboard for Norris, and that was kind of it. Albon told the Bucks he was still within the window. Yeah, that was kind of it. There was like nothing else happening. So I had responded onto that subreddit post of, I knew something was off. They were playing it like Hamilton was intentionally being argumentative, even more so when they played Leclerc's, quote, "What a shame," end quote. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I'll get back to that one. I ended my comment with, "FOM knew what they were doing." Yeah, they literally knew what they were doing. I still stand by that comment. After a bit, they did play Leclerc's. When did they play the "What a Shame" clip? Did I make a note of that? No, I didn't make a note of that. Dang. Okay. I should have made note of that, but it might have been lap like 21 or something, or maybe lap 22. But yeah, the broadcast team knew what they were doing. They were trying to make it be like Drive to Survive. They're trying to intentionally play shit out of order to try and drum up interest because it's lap 20, whatever the fuck, and the race isn't exciting enough. Let's have some internal team drama. Meanwhile, after the race, Leclerc, I think, was asked about it, and he was like, "Yeah, no, we're fine." Between the relationship between himself and Hamilton, it's like, I think what I got was like they're learning from each other in the post race show. It's like, wow, very, very opposite tones here of during the race versus the actual interview. But aside from that, I mean, FOM's gonna FOM, I guess. They don't really care. Moving on, finally, to the last bit of news going into Japan. Lawson and Tsunoda have been announced to swap seats. So that means Lawson goes back to the Racing Bulls team. Tsunoda finally gets promoted to Red Bull. Why now? After two official races and one sprint, they finally think, "Oh, okay, let's put Lawson, let's put Tsunoda in the second Red Bull now." It's like, why now? You guys could have done this at the start of the season. You can't even complain about setup by this point, I don't think. I think Red Bull just genuinely sucks at at trusting their second driver. A YouTube channel I would suggest, I think it's going over the history of like all the other drivers, is Aiden Millward. Was it Millward? Who I discovered a while ago. Yeah, Aiden Millward, AIDAN MILLWARD. His video from a day ago at the time of recording is the Red Bull revolving door, the other drivers who were moved on by Red Bull, and just goes over most of the like early seats. And like, this is just a Red Bull problem, I feel like. I think he did make another recent video that went over like other drivers that went through similar things, which fair enough. Or other teams, but like, come on, Red Bull. Like, it just makes their decision to have Lawson announced for Red Bull even more stupid because if you're going to swap him out anyway, I mean, especially after Horner had like vehemently shut down the rumors of like, oh, well, we're not going to have them swap. No, we would never do that. And then like a few days later comes out this news. It's like, hey, they're swapping seats, by the way. It's like, oh, okay. There's an article on the F1 website, by uh quoting some Red Bull junior driver that I've literally never heard of who raced like for 2 full seasons, like 2.5 seasons from 2009 to 2011. Never heard of this guy. Um, Ex Red Bull Junior Alguersuari. Alguersuari. That guy sympathizes with Lawson after Racing Bull's demotion. Okay, listen, calm down. The very interesting thing was his quote that I kind of skimmed to, and his quote is, quote, Liam is new. He didn't know the car. He didn't know the team. He didn't know the tracks. So you need to give him a little bit of time. F1 now is about very small details. You have to get the tires into the operating window, otherwise you just don't have the grip. You can bury 4 or 5 tenths so easily. You check Liam's onboards in Australia and China. You can see that he was struggling for grip everywhere. Liam is not as bad as he looks. True. You could expect that he was going to struggle at the beginning of the season, and he wouldn't have been as bad as the season went by. You can't be a hero and then become the worst driver in 1 or 2 races. End quote. That is true. Yeah, 2.5 seasons at Toro Rosso, yeah, is where I did go to the Racing Reference thing as well. It's probably in the official F1 stats too, but according to Racing Reference, Al is it Al is it Al Goose is it just Al Jaswari? Is Al Jaswari? Is that how it's pronounced? Maybe the R is silent. Might be Al Jaswari. I could be wrong with that pronunciation, but he finished, at least according to Racing Reference, 14 of his 46 races on the lead lap. I don't think he has room to talk about this, in my opinion. My very, very personal opinion. The guy who not only finished 14 races on the lead lap of his 46 races in his F1 career, also raced for Toro Rosso, and also hasn't raced in Formula One in any capacity since 2011. Why are we getting this guy's opinion? Genuinely. Like, I don't get it. I guess nobody from Red Bull is available. But the key problem I have with this quote is, he is new, he didn't know the car, he didn't know the team, he didn't know the tracks. First of all, he is not new. He has been in F1 before. He filled in for half the season, I think twice, for Williams, and then, well, especially for when Daniel Ricciardo got injured. Not half the season, but like a quarter of the season. So before this season, he had, I think, just about 10 races officially in F1 from 2022 and 23, or 23 and 24. But regardless, he's not brand new. I'll get to this comment in a second. He didn't know the car. Okay, true, but do they not have a simulator? He didn't know the team. Okay, well, I mean, true, but he was announced in, like, the winter break, I think, genuinely. So, he did know the team, but just because you don't know the team doesn't mean you suck at driving the car. See also, Lewis Hamilton this past exact same weekend. He didn't know the team. He didn't know the car, but he still finished in first in Shanghai in the sprint race. I mean, granted, Melbourne is kind of chaotic, and he got disqualified from Shanghai, but we'll kind of ignore both of those, kind of, sort of, just a little bit, especially the disqualification. But Australia, yeah, it was bound to struggle, but there's also outside factors such as the weather. But, I mean, look at Antonelli. He's new. He didn't know the team. He didn't know the car. He doesn't know, probably. He probably doesn't know Melbourne. Well, he probably does a little bit. But he probably doesn't know Shanghai. I don't think F2 didn't race at Shanghai, I don't think, ever. So he didn't know that. He still finished in the top 10, even without the disqualifications. Like, I don't get it. I'm not saying Lawson is a bad driver, obviously. Like, I do think he deserves a shot in F1. I think he deserves a seat in F1. But we can't go making excuses for him, saying, like, oh, well, he's new, he didn't know the drive. Yes, yeah, he did. But that's not an excuse. I mean, I could use Bortoleto as an example, but I mean, I could use a lot of drivers as an example. I mean, Bortoleto ran into bad luck in Australia, but he did kind of manage to finish this race. I mean, he did struggle in Shanghai, but he still finished. Who else? There's Behrman. I mean, Behrman finished top 10 in Shanghai. Second race after a gearbox issue and existence issue in Melbourne, much like a quarter of the grid had an existence issue. So, I'm very surprised that he decided to sign off on that quote. Just like, well, he didn't know the car, the team, or the tracks. It's like, yeah, but you have months to prepare for that. Like, he's also gone through preseason testing, by the way. Like, that realization just now clicked. Lawson went through preseason testing. So, it's not like he didn't know the team. He was there for 3 days, minimum, all day. It's not like they just go home and forget. Like, they are probably with the team over the winter break, too, at least a little bit. Simulators, probably. Like, so, I'll buy the comment. Anyway, switching to the focus of Tsunoda, I think Tsunoda deserves. I think Tsunoda does deserve this. He hasn't been the best driver, in my opinion, but I do think he does deserve a fair shot at Red Bull, which is hilarious because I think he like changed his management agency and like he's kind of like maybe at least very lightly rumored to maybe be going to Aston Martin, but I don't think he has Honda ties anymore. So he might not be going to Aston Martin. But maybe he could stay in Red Bull if Verstappen does move to Aston Martin. Nobody knows at this point. It is an either or thing, but I think Tsunoda deserves a fair shake in the Red Bull car. I think he's deserved it since the start of the actual season, not in the third race of the season in Japan. But as far as I know, it is from Japan onwards. From what I can tell, it's not just for Japan and only Japan. So the media team already not even when did the F1 season start? Not even let me look at the full schedule here. We are I think we were like 2 weeks into the season and already the F1 media team have to change the F1 intro before the third race of the season. So they have to get Lawson in the RB suit and they have to get Tsunoda in the Red Bull suit. So that's gonna be it's amazing. I think it's hilarious for them, but I'm sure they're gonna have fun with it. I can't wait to see how the edited one is going to look in comparison. But in general, that is it. I don't really have anything else to add with the lower third here, so I'm going to go the fuck to sleep after uploading this. Um, I'm kind of delusional. It is 1 in the morning now when I'm finishing this, so basically the day you see this is probably the day I'm uploading, or maybe on Monday. Probably Monday. Nah, I'll do it today. But yeah, otherwise, I will likely leave a community post. But if you have any questions or points of topics to be discussed or me to tangentially interact with you a week later, at least by this weekend, I would love to. I'm not trying to drive engagement bait and all that shit. I really don't care about the fucking algorithm. If I cared about the algorithm, I'd be uploading consistently, and I am not doing that. So if you want to comment, you can. If you don't, you don't. Then that's fine. You do you. But I will say, for a couple points of topic discussion, what do you think about the Lawson Tsunoda swap? Genuinely, no, like actually, what do you think? Especially the quote from whoever the heck that guy was, who was only in F1 14 years ago. But yeah, I mean, aside from the race of the season, any predictions for Japan this week? Any predictions for Formula E in 2 weeks? They head to Miami for the first time. I'm excited. Well, Homestead, Miami, specifically the actual oval, but it's the road course layout. I am excited for that as well. Any other points of topic discussion that I probably missed, such as what am I going to do on F1 Manager? Good question. I don't know yet. When am I going to upload another video? I don't know yet. Or am I going to upload something that's not this? Good question. Find out all and more in the next episode of this podcast, I guess, or the next video. I don't fucking know, man. I'm tired. I'm going to go, but thank you all for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed. Again, if you want to leave a comment, you can. If not, that's also okay. I don't really care about the whole engagement thing. Just like and subscribe and hit the bell or whatever. I don't like that stuff. I'm just here. If you like my stuff, you like my stuff. If not, you don't. I'm rambling at this point, and I am tired, so I'm going to go. Thank you all so much for listening / watching, and I will see you all, I would say this weekend, but probably Monday the 7th, depending on how things go. I might do a 2-for-1 episode once Formula E rolls around. I don't know yet, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to go, so be on the lookout for Formula 1 Manager stuff Fridays, finally. Yay. Okay, bye.